Who's the prosecutor on this one?
Mr. Garrahan, Your Honor.
All right. Court is calling 2020 CR 6408, State of Texas versus Fabian Vega. Could I have parties announced for the record for the state
Jason Garrahan, Your Honor.
defense?
Eduardo Jimenez, Your Honor.
And are you Mr. Vega?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you entered a plea of no contest on February 21st to the offense of murder. You entered a plea of true to the enhancement. The court found the enhancement true based upon your plea of true to the enhancements in States Exhibits 1 and attachments. And the court found there was sufficient evidence to find you guilty, and the court found you guilty. According to your plea bargain agreement, punishment is to be assessed at a cap of 25 years in the prison. There's an affirmative finding of a deadly weapon, and the state is taking consideration 2020 CR 6409, night mag number 686664, county court cause number 674688. Have both parties had a chance to review the PSI report, state
Yes, Your Honor.
defense?
Yes, we have, Your Honor.
Any objections to the PSI report, state
No, Your Honor.
defense?
No, Your Honor.
All right, state, any witnesses?
No, Your Honor.
Defense, any witnesses?
Yes, one witness, Your Honor.
All right, call your witness.
The defense would call Brenda Torres.
Brenda Torres. Can you raise your right hand for me, please? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God? All right, I'm gonna need you to keep your voice up so that the court reporter can hear and I can hear. All right, if you can state your name for the record and spell it.
Brenda Torres.
And spell it.
Brenda Torres, Torres.
All right, and sometimes I ask for people to spell their name so that they can practice keeping their voice up, and so I can test whether or not the court reporter can hear. All right, defense.
Ms. Torres, what is your relationship to the defendant?
Right.
You be speaking to
His wife.
the microphone, not to me. Okay, his wife. Do you have a child together?
Yes, we do.
Such
I have
child
a
is
6-year-old son. His name is Vega.
6-year-old son. What grade would that put him in?
He's in kindergarten. He's about to graduate next year.
Okay. How long have you known the defendant?
And that was 14.
And when was the child born? How many years thereafter was the child born? 2 years later. And what separated you at that point from Mr. Vega?
He was in juvenile.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna need you to speak up.
He was in juvenile,
Okay.
and so we were unable to be together. Unable to be together.
Okay, what kind of person did you know Mr. Vega to be at that time?
Very emotional, loving, and caring. And open-minded.
Okay, so here's the thing. You're gonna have to speak up, and you need to talk the way you're talking to people if you're not in court, because nobody can hear you. And if I can't hear you, guess what? You might as well not testify, because then I won't be able to consider anything. So you're gonna have to keep your voice raised. Do you see the level I'm at? That's the level you need to be. I know sometimes you're nervous, but if you want me to hear what you're saying, I can only hear it if you speak up, okay?
How old are you now, Ms. Torres?
I'm 22.
You're 22,
Yes,
and you have a 6-year-old child.
I do.
Have you raised that child alone?
I have.
That's not an easy thing to do, is it?
No, it's not.
Is it easier to keep your voice up so everybody can hear you? All right, let's do that then. Okay, so you say you were separated from Mr. Vega at the point that you were pregnant because Mr. Vega, repeat what you said,
He
please.
was in juvenile at the time. That's when I was pregnant.
Were you ever reunited with Mr. Vega?
He came for a home visitation and we were together, but then after that, he turned himself in since he was for years after that.
Okay. While he was in jail, did you have any communication or contact with Mr. Vega?
Yes, he talked on his phone and he's written his letters for all these years.
Without citing quotations from those conversations or those letters, how would you describe them in general?
Very emotional and loving. I've never felt any less love than him after all these years. It's remained the same.
Did he ever bring up, for example, anything about his son?
Yes, I know he loves severe and we don't want to explain anything to him right now until he's old enough to understand.
So your son's 6 years old, but he doesn't know anything about his father?
No, he doesn't.
Does he know his father's name?
Doesn't.
When do you think you might be willing to share those things with your son? He's about 8. Okay. And how often would you speak to Fabian or Mr. Vega rather, while he was in jail?
Recently it's been a lot, but before it was only the first 4 times a month. It really wasn't that often. It was very difficult. And talk and not being able to be together.
Mhm.
It was just a lot of emotion.
Okay. Did he ever express remorse for the
Yes, he's apologized sincerely. They'll apologize for not being able to be there, for his actions keeping him away from us. I've forgiven him.
what do you look forward to, if anything?
To coming home and being able to create the family that we started in the first place.
How do you care for your son as a single mother? Do you have a job, for example?
I do. I'm a manager at Whataburger. At Whataburger.
And are you this? Who cares for your? Well, he goes to school while you're at your work.
At work, yes.
Okay,
And then
All
it's not, he's with his grandma,
with your grandmother or
my
Fabian?
mom.
With your mom.
Mhm.
Okay. So your mom's been part of the child's life as well.
Yes, sir.
What does your mom think about Mr. Vega at some point reuniting with your family?
She's ready. She wants me to tell Xavier about him already so we can have contact. Yeah.
Is there anything else you'd like to share with the court before?
I just want to say that it's hard to see who he is inside, but he's right in front of you, but he's still a person. He still has been a father and should deserve to come with us.
Pass the witness, Your Honor.
Any questions?
Just a couple questions, John. Ma'am, how old is your son?
6.
6. So he's born in 2017 or
2006.
2016. How much time did the defendant, Fabian Vega, spend with that son back then?
None, because he was in juvenile.
So none. He's never seen him,
He's seen him.
but he's participated in this son, this 6-year-old, your son's life. How much?
None, because he's been in juvenile and in jail.
He's in juvenile in jail, but he was not in jail when he committed this murder.
Yes, I know.
Okay, so how much time did he spend with the son then?
He didn't.
Okay, thank you. No further questions, Your
All
Honor.
right, what's your son's last name?
Vega.
All right, thank you.
Judge, we have. May I go?
Yes.
Okay.
Any further witnesses?
No further witnesses, Judge, just allocution from the defendant.
All right. He's going to be subject to cross-examination. I understand what allocution is, but if he wants to give his statement, he's going to be subject to cross-examination. He gave up the right to remain silent when he entered his plea.
All right, let me just check with him and then see what he says.
Okay.
Your Honor, he would like to allocute.
All right, can you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you lower your hand. State your name for the record.
Fabian Vega.
All right, defense.
I believe he just wants to share with the court some few reports.
Yes, ma'am. I want to say that I know I took a lot that I can't get back, and I want to apologize to my victim's family for so much pain that I caused them and for their loss. And I regret everything I did. So emotional and stuff like that. I know I'm going to prison, and I would want to get myself right over there by getting my GED because I never finished high school. Take drug classes. I had a problem with drugs in the past, and take parenting classes to better myself to go home to be a good father to my son and just go home clean and just be positive out there and don't find myself in no more than situations like I'm in right now. And I asked that you show mercy on me, on the defendants. A wife and a son and leave me out there, and I want to go back to them, after that.
Any questions?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Vega, in your. Thank you. Mr. Vega, you stated when you were asked about this incident here, you said that, in here it says, my neighbors told me them where I was, my name, and that I had tattoos. I tried to fight it with self-defense. So are you saying this is self-defense?
No, sir.
Okay, but so that's wrong in here, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so did you lie in here?
No,
Excuse me?
no, sir.
But it says self-defense here.
I was in fear of my life at that moment. I've been shot at, but he seemed proud in the past, so it wasn't out of fear, I guess.
So do you feel that you had a right to kill that day?
No, sir. I felt like I should have handled the situation a lot like different. It was out of fear, I guess, like my reaction.
You know, you didn't just, you killed one individual, but then you shot 3 individuals that day. You do realize that, correct?
Yes, sir.
And that you were shooting into a park, Father Benavides Park. You're aware of that.
Yes, sir.
And there are people out there that you were randomly shooting at. You're aware of that.
Yes, sir.
And then you say a witness of yours backed out. Who was the witness?
My roommate Caleb.
Caleb was willing to testify against you. You do realize that.
Yes, sir.
So how did he back out? Because he was going to tell the truth?
I don't know.
No further questions, Your Honor.
All right, anything else?
Mr. Vega, did you grow up your entire childhood with both your parents?
No, sir.
Can you please explain that to me?
I grew up on my CPS care, so I was never around my mom or dad, and I was always like, I grew up having like a hard life, so I don't blame no one for my actions that I did. It's just I didn't grow up knowing right or wrong.
When you were when did CPS order you into care of a foster home?
Yes, sir.
And how was your experience with that foster family?
It was bad, real bad.
You still keep in touch with that foster family?
No, sir.
You still keep in touch with your mother, your father regularly?
No, sir.
So when you go to prison, you said you're going to take parenting classes?
Yes, sir.
Why would you need to learn how to be a loving father?
I was never taught how to be one. I never had that growing up, so I would like to learn. So when I go home, I could be one. That's my time.
What about the drugs?
The joke as well. I plan on going down there and taking drug tests too as well. I had a bad drug problem growing up, and I would like to fix that before I do go home.
And why didn't you ever graduate high school?
I was always incarcerated and not focused.
Well, what are you going to be focused on when you go to prison?
My GED.
You're just going to go to prison, they're going to hand you your GED?
No, sir. I'm gonna go to class and get my GED test. My GED.
Okay, no further questions, Your Honor.
Anything else?
Nothing, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Vega, why does it take you going to prison for you to wake up and realize that you right what's right from wrong? I don't understand that. Like, why does it take going to prison for you to say, I'm going to get my GED, I'm going to be in my son's life, I'm going to be a good parent, I'm going to get off drugs? Because I'm looking at your history and you've been in trouble with the law as a juvenile since 2013. And it started with graffiti at a church or a school. And you were on deferred for that for 6 months. And I know, because I've toured their facilities, I know they give you an opportunity for your GED and for you to do all of that and get your life on track. And then you pick up another case in 2014. Then you are in need of supervision in 2015. And then you have a possession in 2015 and evading in 2015. And this, what I'm talking about is just your juvenile history. And it goes on and on and on. 2016, 2017, all juvenile. And then you have this incident out of Waco, where I'm assuming you went to TYC. I know they don't call it TYC anymore, but you went there. And it appears that you didn't learn anything. And then now we're here for this. And how old are you?
23.
All right, you're 23. And I know what young people think because I was in your position. When people get sentenced to go to prison and they're young, they think it's the end of the world for them. But time goes by so quickly. I can't believe how quickly this year is passing. And you still have a chance to improve your life. Like there's someone here who's dead. They're not, and I want you to think about this, they're not having graduations. If they were going to graduate, you can say, hey, that person was a horrible person too, or did horrible things. But guess what? They're not going to graduate. They're not going to see any grandchildren maybe they were going to have. They're not going to get a chance to improve themselves here on the planet because they're no longer with us. So there are many things that they won't be able to do. I don't understand why, if you have a child who's 6 years old, instead of doing this, why were you not spending as much time with them as you could? The witness tells me that you're very, very loving. Then a very loving person would be, I want to spend as much time with my son as I can because I've missed out so much on his life. I went through Child Protective Services, so I want to make sure my son doesn't go through that. I didn't have a good father, so I want to make sure my son has that. That's not so much about you knowing right from wrong. That's just like common. You understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. The court will hear argument. His cap is 25 years. State, I'm assuming you're asking for 25?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. And defense?
Our defense is asking for mercy, and we're asking for that in a situation where there's been a death, a murder, and that life can't be brought back. So there's nothing we can say to change that fact. This young man, having growing up without a father and mother, there's nothing we can do to change that either. This young man making poor choices, not being around his son as his son was growing up, and being rather with people who are involved in drugs and guns. There's nothing we can say to change that either. But we have heard from him. He knows that this is pretty much his last chance to turn his life around. He doesn't want to spend the rest of his life in prison. So we are asking for mercy, Your Honor. He has explained what his plans and goals are to the court, being get his high school diploma so he can get a decent job out there, and take enough education and courses and therapy so that he's able to break his chains of addiction, Your Honor, and also learn to be a good parent to his son who's out there waiting for him, and his wife, Miss Brenda Torres, to be a good husband to his wife. We're asking for leniency from the court, full knowledge that we can't change the fact that we're dealing with a murder here, Your Honor.
All right. And Mr. Vega, I want you to know at some point in time, our actions are our own. We can no longer blame it on the rough childhood we had, because a lot of people had a rough childhood. A lot of people had parents that were not in their lives. Some people had parents who were in their lives and shouldn't have been in their lives. But I do take in consideration when I hear that, because as a defense attorney, I used to always get upset when the state would say, well, this person didn't commit a murder and they had a rough life. I want you to know I look at people as individuals. You understand? All right. So I'm going to sentence you to 25 years in the prison. There's an affirmative finding of deadly weapon. Take in consideration 2020 CR 6409, night mag number 68664 and 674688. That's the county court cause number 674688. I'll ask for you to have the therapeutic community. You'll have to request that. That's to help you with any drug addictions that you may have. But if you don't request it, they're definitely not going to give it to you. And I can't make them give it to you. I'm going to do a no contact order with until the expiration of $15. At that time, he'll be 21. He'll be able to hopefully make a decision on whether or not he wants to see you. So there'll be no contact with showing you what's entitled Trial Court Certification of Defendants' Rights to Appeal. Did you review that with your attorney? Did you understand it? And did you sign it?
Yes, ma'am.
Because this is a plea bargain agreement, because I followed your plea bargain agreement, and because you waived your right to appeal, you do not have the court's permission to appeal. And because this is a felony conviction, you're not allowed to own or possess any weapons or ammunition. If you have a question over what a weapon or ammunition is, you'll need to speak to an attorney. Do you understand? All right. I wish you nothing but the best. Good luck to you.
Your Honor, we have a small statement.
I'm sorry. There's a statement.
Yeah, very brief, very brief.
It's very,
Yes.
yes, it's three.
Maybe excuse me.
Yes. Eduardo, yeah. All right, so are you just going to read it, Count?
I'm gonna read it.
All right.
There's two commands.
Okay.
This is from Jessica Hernandez. On that day, when you took my nephew's life, you ruined my family forever. You not only took my nephew, but my sister, his mother as well. This has fully impacted my life and the life of my family forever. Your actions that day were purely selfish, and because you decided in your selfishness to pick up a gun and shoot 3 unarmed kids, I am not only without my nephew, but my sister has not been able to cope with what you did, and she suffers from mental illness and is not the sister I once had. It has taken me 3 years to forgive you, and forgive you I have because I have realized that I am not your judge. Only God can do that, and you will face him one day. That is on you. But for you to be released back into society is something I pray will never happen. The thought of you being free to do this again chills my soul. Words cannot express the emptiness in my heart since my son was taken from me. We ask for justice and the punishment you deserve for this crime. It's ironic that the day after Jesus resurrected is what counts, because his judgment is final. I am at loss for words to truly express what you have taken from me. Jesse was not only my son, a part of me, but Jesse was my life. You tore a huge part out of my heart. I died that day too. You may not have cared for your actions that day, but those actions will have a consequence today. I hope you just melt in misery for the rest of your life and that it haunts you till no end, because I've lived like this that day, since that day. I have no pity for you or what you thought you should stand for that day. You are not a man. You are now just a set number.
Thank you. Yes.
So, do you want to get a approach on that?
Yes.
I don't know where my client is, Judge.
All right. He's been in court before.
Yeah, this was just a recall for a plea deadline for today. So he was in court like a week and a half, 2 weeks ago.
Okay. All right. Can I have someone on the state, please? Court is calling 2000. All right, court is calling 2023 CR 0220 and 2023 CR 0549, State of Texas versus Johnny Joe Webb. Can I have parties announced for the record for the state?
Daniel Escobar for the state of Texas.
Stacey Prince on behalf of Johnny Webb.
All right, this hearing was scheduled at 9 a.m. It is now 11:33 a.m. Your client did not answer the docket. Deputy Laura, did you make an announcement?
Yes, Your Honor, I did, and there was no answer.
All right, defense.
My client hasn't shown up, Judge, and don't really have anything more to say than that.
All right, is he on a commercial bond?
What?
Is he on a commercial bond?
I'm not sure. I know he's indigent because I'm court appointed, but I don't know if he is on a commercial bond or if he on bond.
Yes. Have you had a chance to contact the bondsman?
I made no attempt. I have had good contact with my client. Historically, I have a good number for him and everything. So no, I haven't attempted to reach out to the bondsman.
All right, state.
Your Honor, C would ask for a bond forfeiture.
All right, that will be granted. Your client will be remanded without bond. If your client makes an appearance, then the court will reconsider.
Thank you, Judge.
You're welcome.
Stacy Grass, RAUSE. You want my phone number? My excuse, Judge?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, Kilgore. All right, we're back on the record in 2022 CR 6781, State of Texas versus Michael Kilgore. Can our parties announce for the record for the state?
Ruben Herrera for the state.
Defense,
Emily Silver for the defense.
are you Mr. Kilgore?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, the defense has requested a reduction in the bond amount. State, have you had a chance to review that with your client? I'm sorry, State, have you had a chance to review that?
Yes, Your Honor.
State, are you in objection?
We are, yeah.
All right, any witnesses from the defense?
No witnesses for the defense.
State, any witnesses?
We just asked to call Ms. Sherry Garman briefly, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Garman, can you raise your right hand for me, please? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you can lower your hand. If you'll state your name for the record and spell it, please.
Sherry Garman, SHERRYGARMAN.
All right, state.
Thank you. Ms. Garman, you are the complaining witness in this case. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes, sir.
And you initiated the charges against Mr. Kilgore?
Yes, sir.
And are you aware of Mr. Kilgore's motion to reduce his bond amount?
Yes, I am.
And what is your position as to that reduction? Do you agree with it or are you against it?
I've really been thinking about it, and I do believe that everybody changes and that everybody should get a second chance. I am not against it. I just hope that you guys would look into it to make sure that it doesn't happen to anybody and that he is okay and that he's going to get out and do better with himself and not just go back to doing what he was doing. I would have no objection to it if he's just going to do better with himself.
And Ms. Garman, if Mr. Kilgore's bond amount were to be reduced and he's released from custody, would you feel safe?
I would like a no contact order and a protection order if I could get one of those, because honestly, I wouldn't feel super secure and super safe, but I wouldn't feel super unsafe because I am in a different location.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right, any questions?
Yes, Your Honor, briefly. Ms. Sherry, where are you located currently? What city?
I'm located.
Just 1 second. If the defendant is not to know where she's located, I'm not going to allow that.
Okay.
Now, to the witness. Now, are you in Texas?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you in Bear County?
No, ma'am.
That's as far as I'll
Okay.
let the questions go.
Okay. Okay, no more questions, Your Honor.
All right. All right, this is what the court wants to know. These two cases that he's charged with, is this out of the same occurrence? Is this the same?
No, Your Honor, the assault was filed at large. The CTD case was picked it up when he was picked up by the covert officers.
Okay. Mr. Kilgore, I need to ask you some questions as it relates, not to the allegations in the case, just for me to make any extra decisions with regards to bond conditions if I were to review your bond. Do you have any objections?
No, Your Honor, no objections.
All right, Mr. Kilgore, can you raise your right hand for me? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you can lower your hand. Have you ever had any type of mental health issues?
No, ma'am.
Ever been diagnosed or received treatment for mental health?
No, ma'am.
Ever had any drug or alcohol issues?
No, ma'am.
Ever used any drugs?
Yeah.
What?
Marijuana.
All right, when's the last time you used marijuana? Before being taken into custody?
Four,
Yes.
April,
And how often were you using?
a lot.
Okay. Do you have any children?
6,
What are their ages?
7, 6. I got a 4-year-old, a 3-year-old, a 2.5-year-old right now.
Okay, that only gives me 5 children.
Yeah, my other daughter passed. So.
Okay, I'm sorry to hear that. All right, any other questions as it relates to any conditions?
No, Your Honor.
All right. State, what are you asking for a bond amount? It's currently at 75,000.
Your Honor, if the court was inclined to reduce the bond amount, we ask it to be set at 50,000.
All right, defense, what are you requesting?
We're asking for 30,000, what's stated in the motion, due to the incarceration period of 11 months. That is what the family believes that they can afford.
All right, the court will set your bond at $40,000. There's to be full GPS, waive fees. If later it's determined that he has an employment, the court will consider partial. I'm going to ask for random UAs, waive fees. I'm going to ask for outpatient treatment. For drugs, and I'll ask that the fees be waived. And there should be no contact. And I'm sorry, is your last name Guzman?
It's Garmin,
Garmin. How do you spell that, please?
Garman.
All right, and there should be no contact with Sherry Garmin. All right, Mr. Kilgore, do you understand what no contact means?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, that means that you are not to call her. That means that you don't write her letters. That means that you do not reach out to her on Facebook or any type of social media. That means that you do not contact third parties to contact her. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
If you do any of those things, it will be considered a violation of your bond. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right. We'll be back on April 25th with regards to the phone issues.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thanks for your patience.
You must be Mr. Plummer because you're anxious to get up and have your turn. Are you Mr. Plummer?
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely.
Okay, on the record in the matter of the people of the state of Michigan versus Darnell Plummer, counsel appearance.
Yes, Your Honor. Good morning or good afternoon, Assistant Public Defender Stephen Vitalson, appearing on behalf of Mr. Plummer today.
Okay, Mr. Plummer, I have 3 files for you. We'll start with the new one. I have here a felony complaint that alleges that on or about February 1st, 2023 through the range of August 13, 2023 at the area of 4821 Wainwright, City of Lansing, Ingham County, State of Michigan, that you did allegedly contrary to law commit the act in count 1 of home invasion, 1st degree. The allegation is that you did break and enter or did enter without permission a dwelling located at 4821 Wainwright with the intent to commit an assault therein and while entering, present in, or exiting the dwelling, Olivia Oglesby was lawfully present therein, and that this was done contrary to MCL 750.110A2. It also alleges that is a felony. Maximum penalty is 20 years in prison and or $5,000 in fines, and a consecutive sentence may be imposed for any other conviction arising out of the same transaction. There's a count 2 alleging that between the dates of February 1st, 2023, and August 13th, 2023, you allegedly committed the act of stalking aggravated. It alleges that you did engage in a willful course of conduct involving repeated or continuous harassment of Olivia Oglesby, the conduct being such that would cause a reasonable person to feel terrorized and or frightened and or intimidated and or threatened and or harassed, and said conduct actually caused Olivia Oglesby to feel terrorized and or frightened and or intimidated and or threatened and or harassed, and at least one of the actions constituting the offense is in violation of a restraining order the defendant has received actual notice of, and or a condition of pretrial release contrary to the Michigan Compiled Law 750.411I. That's a felony. The maximum penalty is 5 years in prison and or $10,000 in fines, and probation for any term of years not less than 5. Do you understand the charges just read in this file and the maximum penalty in each?
Oh, yes, sir. The first charge you said was home invasion, and the second charge is what again?
Okay,
I'm
at
sorry.
first, count 1, home invasion 1st degree, and then count 2 is aggravated stalking.
From how, what is how do you get the dates though? I don't understand, like.
The date is a range. I don't factor or figure out the date. That's not something I do. I'm here to read the charges. And so their allegation is that this count 1 and count 2 took place during the time ranges, at least the stalking did. The stalking was between February 1st, 2023 and August 13th, 2023.
Oh, so the whole time, that's what you're saying?
That's the allegation, is that during that time range from February 1st until today, you've been engaged in an act that constitutes aggravated stalking.
Do they know this woman has bailed me out of jail, like, and everything between?
I'm sorry?
Is there
I didn't hear your question.
Mr. Plummer, I would not say anything more. This is recorded right now.
Do you understand the charges and the maximum penalty?
Yes, ma'am, Your Honor.
Okay. This is a question about whether or not you can comprehend what I'm saying, not do you agree with what I'm saying. I'm not asking you about, are you guilty or not guilty? I just want to know if you understood the charges, and that's all I'm asking, okay?
Yes, ma'am, Your Honor. I honestly, not even to play stupid or anything, but I do not understand those charges. I don't. The second one, the second offense, the first one.
The aggravated. Okay, so is it the date range that you don't understand, or you don't understand what aggravated stalking is?
I mean, I could kind of picture what aggravated stalking is, but the dates.
Okay, so the date range, aggravated stalking, the allegation is that it was a continuous activity or that it happened in multiple times between the date ranges of February 1st up until today. Okay. That's what that date range is, okay?
Yes,
Does that
ma'am.
explain that better for you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and so you have the right to be represented by counsel, and Mr. Feigelson is here to represent you for the purposes of your arraignment only. But you have the right to be represented by an attorney at each stage of the criminal prosecution. You have the right to have counsel appointed to you if you can't afford to hire an attorney. Do you understand your right to counsel?
Yes, ma'am.
You have the right to remain silent. Anything that you say, anything you put in writing can be used against you. You have the right to plead guilty, plead not guilty, or stand mute. If you stand mute, we'll proceed to trial on this matter. All right, because you are being charged with felonies in this, you have the right to have a preliminary examination, and you have the right to have that examination within 21 days of today's date, that date being the date of your arraignment. And that 21-day timeline can only be moved if the court finds good cause to go beyond that 21 days, or if you waive the 21-day timeline yourself. At the time of your preliminary examination, you have the right to require the prosecution to meet their burden of probable cause. So the preliminary examination, you can require the prosecution to establish first that they have sufficient probable cause that a crime was committed, and also sufficient probable cause to charge you with the crimes that they have alleged that you committed. Do you understand those rights so far?
Yes, ma'am, Your Honor.
Okay. You have the right to a jury trial, and you have the right to the presumption of innocence at the time of your trial. So you're innocent until proven guilty. You have the right to require the prosecution to prove your guilt by proving each element of the charge being brought against you or the charges being brought against you beyond a reasonable doubt at trial. You have the right to remain silent at your trial and not have silence be used against you. You have the right to see, hear, or question any other witnesses the prosecution intends to call. You have the right to call your own witnesses or present evidence at trial that you believe further a defense to the charge being brought against you. Do you have any questions so far?
No, ma'am, Your Honor.
You have the right to be considered for pretrial release from custody. We'll adjust your bond in just a moment. Are you employed?
No, ma'am. Nor do I have a phone number nor address. I'm homeless right now.
Okay, so you're unemployed, you don't have a home phone number, and who's the Ingham Street address belong to?
A relative.
Where are you sleeping?
Streets.
You sleep on the streets?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you have no phone number?
No, ma'am, not a working one.
Okay.
Last phone number I lost. Though I lost the phone, it was a free phone from the government.
So the court will enter a plea of not guilty on your behalf. Is he requesting a court-appointed counsel?
Yes, he is, Your Honor.
Okay, we'll note that you're making a request for court-appointed counsel. You have a probable cause conference scheduled in this matter before Judge Ward. It's going to be on August 24th, 2023 at 9 o'clock in the morning. You have an in-person preliminary examination before Judge Ward August 31st at 8:30 in the morning. Did you get a copy of your notice to appear before Judge Ward?
Yes, ma'am, Your Honor.
Looks like you might have a bench warrant before Eaton County. Let's see. 56A District Court. Do you have a bench warrant that you need to address over there?
Yes, ma'am. I'm supposed to get sentenced on a matter, and I just missed the sentence, and that's the court date that I'm talking about I missed. It's already resolved. I just had to get sentenced on it.
Well, it's still, it shows me as of today, you're still in bench warrant status over there.
Yes, yes, Your Honor. Yes, ma'am.
File number 23-000655. It's a matter that you have a pretrial set before Judge Buchanan, at least. Looks like you should have had a pretrial set. You were supposed to go to jury trial, but you're in warrant status on that one, I believe. Why do you not have a jury trial date on this? I do have two PA 53 violations in this file. PA 53 violations being a violation of your bond conditions. There's a police report here on one from May 14th, 2023, alleging that you violated the terms of your bond conditions by making contact with the alleged victim, Olivia Oglesby, in violation of the no contact order. There's also a police report from May 9th, 2023. Again, the allegation is that you violated the terms of your bond conditions and on that date and time by making contact with the alleged victim, Olivia Oglesby, and that you were also in violation because you were ordered not to commit a crime while released, and you allegedly picked up a new charge. You were ordered not to harass, intimidate, beat, molest, wound, stalk, threaten, or engage in any other conduct that will place any of the following persons or a child of the following persons in reasonable fear of bodily injury, that being your spouse, your former spouse, individual with whom you had a child in common, or a resident or former resident of your household. It's also an allegation that you violated your bond by violating the condition that you were not to assault, harass, intimidate, beat, molest, wound, or threaten Olivia Oglesby, and that you were not to have contact, third party or otherwise, or directly or indirectly, with Olivia Oglesby, and that you violated the terms of your bond conditions because you were only allowed to be at the area in which Ms. Oglesby resides one time to remove personal belongings, and that you were not to be within 2,000 feet of wherever she lived, works, or goes to school. And then there's a new PA 53 violation from this new police report. Again, I have a police report from August 12th, 2023. Again, alleging that you violated the terms of your bond conditions because you were not to have contact directly or indirectly with Olivia Oglesby, and you were not to enter the property where she lived. And the allegation, as read in the new case that I arraigned you on, alleges that you violated that. So you have the right in each of those violations to have a contested hearing. You have the right to have evidence brought forth to establish beyond a reasonable doubt whether or not you violated the terms of your bond conditions as alleged. However, due to the PA 53 violations, which are contempt of court orders, you can be sentenced to the following. You can have a sentence of 93 days in jail on each violation and or up to $7,500 in fines. Your bond can also be revoked pending these matters prosecution. Do you understand the PA 53 violations?
Yes, ma'am, Your Honor.
Okay, do you have any questions at this time?
No, ma'am.
Okay, counsel, you can address bond. You're actually muted, Mr. Feigelson.
Sorry, Your Honor. Mr. Plummer is from here, the Lansing area, Your Honor, is born and raised. I understand these are all allegations involving the same alleged victim here, but I let the court system play out before we assess anything more than that, Your Honor. I'd ask for the lowest possible cash bond with a percentage today.
Thank you. Okay, so I have here one new case with a home invasion first degree and a count two of stalking aggravated home invasion carrying a penalty of up to 20 years in prison and stalking felony with 5 years. Then I have a matter that you have a pending bench warrant in 56A District Court. And then you have another matter here before Judge Buchanan, which appears you failed to appear for your jury trial. And then I have now 3 pending bond violations. So and I don't actually see this particular violation in this file. I don't know why, but I do see a bench warrant which was signed by Judge Buchanan in the file that's pending for her for it says the defendant tampered with his GPS tether on April 28, 2023 and attempted to remove the tether. Are you on tether, sir?
No, ma'am, not anymore.
Okay. Did the judge order the tether be removed?
No, ma'am.
Oh, okay. And so the court has grave concerns about the protection of the alleged victim in this matter, as well as concerns about the defendant's ability to follow the court's orders and appear in court. And so a personal recognizance bond would be inappropriate. In the new file, bond is going to be set in the amount of $20,000 cash surety with GPS tether and victim notification. A bond set in the file number 23-0065. It's gonna be 7,000. 10%. And that would be the file that you have the 3 PA 53 violations on. Let's see. File out on bond, you have to have contact directly or indirectly with Olivia Oglesby. Do you understand what that means?
Yes, Your Honor, I do.
So, okay, so that means no contact of any kind. You shouldn't be able or attempting to try to make contact by phone. You shouldn't be trying to email. You can't go to her house. You can't go where she works. You can't go where she grocery shops. You can't go where she does her laundry. You can't go where she worships. You can't go anywhere where you think she might be. You can't send a smoke signal. You can't contact her through any mechanism of any kind under any circumstances. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am, Your Honor.
Okay. And then you're not to have anybody else attempt to make any contacts on your behalf. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am, Your Honor.
Okay, very good. And you need to make sure you appear to all of your court dates. I am going to order here that you be remanded also so that you can address your bench warrant 56A. And then once that's addressed, you'll have to post our bonds here before you can be released. And you need to have a GPS tether with victim notification. Okay?
Yes, ma'am, Your Honor.
And then need to appear for all of your future court dates. You're not to possess a firearm or any other dangerous weapon. You're not to use, purchase, or possess drugs or alcohol without valid prescription. You're not to travel outside the state without prior approval of the court. And you need to report to pretrial services within 48 hours of your release. You'll be reporting to them weekly, okay?
Yes, ma'am, Your Honor.
Do you have any questions at this time?
No, ma'am.
Any additional matters for the record, counsel?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Thank you. You're all set, Mr. Plummer.
All right, thank you. Have a good one.
Same to you. Thank you, Mr. Feigelson. Thank you in the jail.
Yeah, thank you, Your Honor. Have a good day and a nice weekend.
You too.